Hello, YouTube fan. Get ready for an amazing video experience. Welcome to another exciting video where we'll be shedding light on York Beverley Line. The York Beverley Line was a railway line between York, Market Weighton and Beverley in Yorkshire, England. The line was sanctioned in 1846 and the first part, the York to Market Weighton line, opened in 1847. Construction of the second part to Beverley was delayed for 17 years, in part by the downfall of George Hudson and a less favourable financial environment following the collapse of the Ers railway bubble. The North Eastern Railway revived and completed the scheme in the Ers. The Market Weighton to Beverley line opened in 1865. The line left the York and Scarborough Railway at a junction north of York and turned eastward, crossing the largely flat terrain of the Vale of York via Stamford Bridge, Pocklington and Market Weighton before making its way over hillier ground via a gap in the Yorkshire Wolds, between Market Weighton and Goodmanham. The line then ran steadily downhill to the River Hull Valley past Cherry Burton to a junction with the Hull to Scarborough line at Beverley. Market Weighton became the junction of two other railways, the Selby to Market Weighton line, sanctioned at the same time as the original York-Beverley scheme, and opened in 1848, and the Scarborough, Bridlington and West Riding Junction Railway Market Weighton to Driffield, opened in 1890. The line once was a preferred route for trains running directly between the English cities of York and Kingston upon Hull. Before closure, the route Hull-Beverley Market Weighton York had daily direct trains and was often referred to as the Hull to York line. The line was recommended for closure in the 1963 Beeching Report and closed in November 1965. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of background to reveal its true essence. Either mid-Ers lines had been constructed from Leeds to Selby, Leeds and Selby Railway, 1834, Selby to Hull and Selby Railway, 1840, and from Hull to Beverley and Bridlington Hull and Selby Railway, Bridlington Branch, 1846, all of which were owned or leased by George Hudson's York and North Midland Railway. In early 1845, the Hull and Selby Railway had authorised surveys for a line from its Bridlington branch via Market Weighton and Pocklington to York connection with a junction on either the Great North of England Railway or the York and North Midland Railway, as well as another branch to Market Weighton from its main line. On 17 May 1845, after being approached by interested parties from Beverley, the York and Midland shareholders agreed to proceed with surveys for the line and its branch. A rival scheme, promoted by the York, Hull and East and West Yorkshire Junction Railway running from a related proposed scheme at York, the Leeds and York Railway, spurred the aim to the promotion of an Act in 1845 for the Beverley Market Weighton York line, as well as other railways in East Yorkshire. An Act, the York and North Midland Railway East Riding Branches Act, was obtained in Atagraph York and North Midland Railway East Riding Branches Act Victoria 9 and 10, Cap. 65, 1846, an Act for enabling the York and North Midland Railway to make certain branch railways in the East Riding of the County of York, and for other purposes. George Hudson also acquired the Londesborough Hall estate for £474,000 sterling in an attempt to prevent landowners on the line causing problems for the railway. As part of the agreements needed to obtain the passage of the East Riding Branches Acts through Parliament, the AIMA had to make agreements buy out the proprietors of the Pocklington Canal, Market Weighton Canal, its branch Sir Edward Vavasor's Canal and the Leven Canal. The AIMA began proceedings to obtain an act to that effect in 1846, which was passed as the York and North Midland Railway Canals Purchase Act in Atagraph York and North Midland Railway Canals Purchase Act Victoria 10 and 11, Cap. 216, 1847, an act to authorise the purchase by the York and North Midland Railway Company of the interests of the shareholders in the Market Weighton Canal, and the purchase of the canal communicating therewith called Sir Edward Vavasor's Canal, of the Pocklington Canal, and of the Leven Canal, all in the east riding of the county of York. The Leven Canal was to be acquired in case of the line were constructing a Hornsey branch. The others were necessary for the lines to Market Weighton, and were bought at £18,000 sterling, £14,404 sterling, and £836 sterling of the price of its parent respectively. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of York to Market Weighton and examine its core elements. York to Market Weighton. Construction of the line was contracted to Jackson and Bean for Ertagraph. Jackson and Bean were also contractors on the Selby to Market Weighton Line 1847, and on the Hull and Selby Railway Bridlington branch. Group and buildings on the line were designed by G.T. Andrews and constructed by Burton and Son. Lesser stations generally consisted of two platforms, either parallel or staggered at a road crossing, with the two-storey station houses, with a bay window overlooking the platform. The larger ones had a stone-pillared portico at one of the entrances. The main stations Pocklington and Market Weighton had two platforms under an overall hip roof trenched, with single-storey station buildings adjacent and parallel to the shed, with the entrance distinguished again by a stone-pillared portico, or at Pocklington, by an arched arcade. Market Weighton had a two-road engine shed, with turntable. Other buildings included goods sheds, coal drops, and gatehouses, flat layers, cottages which were typically single-storey buildings with distinctive double chimneys with arched brick saddles connecting the stack. George Hudson had a private station for Londesborough Hall. The only bridge of note on the section was the Stamford Bridge viaduct crossing the River Derwent. The viaducts consisted of 24-span semicircular brick approach arches, 10 on the southeast side and 5 on the northwest side, with a sources along, at a total cost of earth, with gradients were generally light, with maximum of 1 in 171 and 1 in 191. Most of the line was built with gradient of 2 or better. There were peaks of 96 and elevation near Holtby and Pocklington. The Selby to Market Weighton line opened on 1 August 1848 with a junction on the line west of Market Weighton station. 3 trains per day ran each way on the York to Market Weighton line 1847, and the same number on the contemporary line to Driffield. Coaches operated from Market Weighton to Beverley. In 1848-49, costs per year for the line were estimated at sleepers and rails £1,481 sterling and £522 sterling, maintenance wages £881 sterling, 22 employees, signalling, goods and coaching department wages 30 employees, £1,200 sterling, and a very rough estimate of £70 sterling per mile for works and building maintenance. Total working charges on the line, including maintenance, wages, depreciation, insurance, rents, train running costs, sundries and administration, was £7,808 sterling. Receipts in the first 12 months after opening were £971 sterling coaching, £1,335 sterling freight, plus rents, to a total of £2,336 sterling. The total train miles in the first half of 1849 was 22,793 and 6,949 for passenger and goods trains respectively. In 1855 the basic service was still 3 trains per day, with the stopping service taking 75 minutes. Yapham Gate was a scheduled stop on market days. Get ready for a captivating exploration as we unravel the layers of extension to Beverley and their profound significance. The compulsory purchase powers of the 1846 Act were to expire after 3 years, with the powers to construct a railway expiring after 5. In 1849 the Ine applied for and obtained a second act, authorising the abandonment and replacement of the authorised section of the line from Market Weighton to Cherry Burton with a deviation between the same points. The Act also extended the original 1846 Act's duration of compulsory purchase and construction by 2 and 5 years respectively. As a result of the York and North Midland Railway's inquiry into George Hudson's fraud, the company found itself needing to reduce expenditure, and construction of the Market Weighton to Beverley section was postponed. In 1851, two landowners brought a case against the Line, attempting to compel them to construct the Market Weighton to Cherry Burton section. The Court Queen's Bench found in the plaintiff's favour, but the decision was rejected as erroneous on appeal to the Court of Exchequer Chamber. The court ruled that the Act of 1849 used permissive and not imperative terms, and so the company was not compelled to complete the line. In 1862, the Line's successor, the North Eastern Railway, applied to renew the powers to build the line to Beverley. Local interest raised £40,000 towards the cost of the line through the purchase of NER stock. An Act, the North Eastern Railway Beverley branch, was obtained in 1862. The line ran roughly east-northeast out of Market Weighton, turning eastward towards Goodmanham. Here the ground was boggy and prone to springs. The line ran on the bed of a diverted stream. There was a skew bridge east of Goodmanham, followed by a climb into the Yorkshire Wolds towards Kiplingcoats, a third of which was at a gradient of 1 in 160, with a peak east of Kiplingcoats at 184th. Beyond the peak of the Wolds, the line ran east Cherry Burton, then roughly southeast to Beverley. From the peak to Beverley the route was downhill, with gradients between, and most of the roads were crossed by bridge or underpost, with the exception of Pyle Crossing outside Beverleyston. The 11 miles branch was opened on 1 May 1865. The line was built as a single-track line, with a double-track section at Kiplingcoats. With that being said, let's now move on to operations. After the opening of the Beverley section in 1865, trains could run through from York to Hull. By 1870, the standard service had also increased to 4 trains per day. Additionally, an express train running from Hull and connecting at York for the express to Scotland had to be run, stopping only at the main stations, Beverley, Market Weighton, Pocklington and Stamford Bridge. In 1890, the Scarborough, Bridlington and West Riding Junction Railway from Market Weighton to Driffield opened, with a junction on the line to Beverley just east of Market Weighton Station, at East Junction. By 1895 the service had increased to 6 trains per day each way, of which all but 1 were stopping services. By 1910 the service had reached 8 trains each way. During the First World War service were reduced, recovering to pre-war levels in the Ers. 3 trains also began to run from Hull to Newcastle using the line. In the Ers a Sunday train began to run on the line, an excursion service from York to the coast at Bridlington. The level crossing on the busy York to Scarborough Trust Road later was grade separated in the Ers. Holtby Station closed for passengers in September 1939. Service were reduced again during the Second World War and recovered post-war. Nunbenholm Station closed to passengers. Goods service to Holtby ended in 1951, whilst the station roof at Market Weighton had been removed and replaced with steel awnings in around 1948. Diesel multiple units were introduced on the line in 1957. Worthil, Fangfoss and Cherry Burton railway stations were closed to passengers in 1959. At the beginning of the Ers 9 trains per day ran each way, including expresses. As we transition, let's shed light on modernisation and closure and its relevance to our ongoing exploration. Modernisation and closure. In the around 1955, British Railways started investigating the use of boom barriers as a replacement for traditional gates, and an experimental installation was made at the level crossing at Worthil, controlled from a nearby signal box. In 1960, British Rail began work on converting the line to a centralist traffic control (CTC) system, involving singling the line, with passing loops at Pocklington and Market Weighton, modernisation of level crossings, coloured light signalling installed, and removal of signal control to a single signal box at Botham Junction, York. The CTC was halted with the publication of the Beeching Report of 1963, which recommended that the passenger service on the line York-Hull via Beverley cease, with all stations to be closed. The line was one of the case studies given in the report, which calculated expenses of £107,500 sterling on an income of £90,400 sterling, and estimated that additional savings would be obtained after closure, with over a quarter of the revenue retained by rerouting of through Hull York services. Goods service ended at Kipling Cotis and Cherry Burton in 1964, and at Londesborough, Eswick, Stamford Bridge and Fangfoss in 1965. Goods services at Pocklington were still actively used, and BR North Eastern proposed schemes to retain the section of the line from Beverley or from Market Weighton via the Selby to Market Weighton line. The change of government to Labour after the 1964 general election failed to halt the closure, despite some expectations that the closures would be halted and services on the line were withdrawn in November 1965. The last train ran on 27 November 1965. Get ready for an exciting exploration as we unravel the mysteries of stations and landmarks. The completed route left the York to Scarborough Line at Botham Junction north of York, and at the other end joined its Hull to Bridlington line at a junction north of Beverley. Market Weighton Station became the location of the junction between the York to Beverley line and the Selby to Market Weighton line 1848, and the Market Weighton to Driffield line Scarborough, Bridlington and West Riding Junction Railway, Sporah. The entire route had been double-tracked by 1890 with the opening Sporah. Of the 13 intermediate stations between York and Beverley, only 6 Eswick, Stamford Bridge, Pocklington, Londesborough, Market Weighton and Kipling Cotis were still open when the line closed in 1965. In this section, we'll be shedding light on post-closure and its impact on our understanding of the subject. As of 2015, much of the former tract is still extant, with exceptions within the towns of Pocklington, Stamford Bridge and the York urban area where building development has taken place. The heavier engineering works east of Market Weighton are more visible, whilst west in the Vale of York parts of the line are no longer evidenced on the ground. More than half of the route is discernible as earthworks or field boundaries. The route between Beverley and Market Weighton has been converted into a cycleway, Hudson Way, also known as Wilberforce Way. Many of the line's structures are still extant. Exceptions include the station buildings at Market Weighton demolished in 1979, as well as Eswick Station, also demolished. At Stamford Bridge the station house and platforms survive, as does the goods shed. The listed iron bridge and viaduct over the River Derwent at Stamford Bridge was proposed for demolition by the East Riding of Yorkshire Council in the early years, but the decision was reversed in 1992. At Pocklington the station master's house, and station goods shed are all still extant, and listed structure sources. Several other station buildings survive, including Fangfoss, Worthville, Haltby, Nunbenholm, Londesborough, Cherry Burton, and Kipling Cotis. 2 of the former gatekeepers' cottages are now Grade II listed buildings, Market Weighton and Barnby Moor. In the next segment, we'll be exploring reopening proposals and its implications for our subject matter. A group, the Minster's Rail Campaign, was established in 2001 to promote the reopening of the line. In 2004, the East Riding of Yorkshire Council commissioned a report from Carlborough Group to investigate the feasibility of reopening the line. Because of redevelopment, alterations to the former route were considered. Developments in York housing in Huntington and New Eswick required the connection to the York to Scarborough line to be moved north. An alternative route via the former Derwent Valley Light Railway and the Foss Islands branch into the centre of York was also considered. Building development had also taken place on the track bed in Pocklington, Stamford Bridge, with alternative alignments proposed, going around the outskirts of the towns. A new alignment of the track out of Beverley was also proposed to the close proximity of properties, traffic levels at level crossings and other developments. The study found benefits to opening the line for passenger traffic, both for commuter and leisure traffic, but found no practical uses of the line for freight. The report recommended reinstating a service from Hull via Beverley, Market Weighton, Stamford Bridge and Pocklington connecting to the York to Scarborough Line at Haxby, on a double-track line with a frequency of 2 trains per hour, with intermediate stations only at Market Weighton, Pocklington and Stamford Bridge. The estimate journey time was under 1 hour. Capital costs of the scheme were estimated at £239 million, with operating costs at £2.90 million per. Additional direct revenue from a bi-hourly service was estimated £0.26 million per annum. The scheme was not expected to be profitable and would require a subsidy from government. The 2011 East Riding of Yorkshire Council (ERYC) Transport Plan identified the reopening of the line as a long-term goal and safeguarded the route from development. In 2013, the ERYC published a draft local plan which allowed building on the line and excluded reinstatement of the rail line from its schemes, as it had concluded that the scheme would not be realistically deliverable within the plan's 20-year timeframe. Following the government's plans to reinstate lines closed in the ERS, which was announced in November 2017, it has been proposed that the line could reopen. In January 2019, Campaign for Better Transport released a report identifying the line, which was listed as Priority 2 for reopening. Priority 2 is for those lines which require further development or a change in circumstances such as housing developments. In June 2020, the East Riding of Yorkshire Council submitted a request for funding to cover a feasibility study which would investigate reopening the line. I love interacting with my viewers, so leave me a comment and I'll do my best to respond.